Imagine you have an analytics setup with thousands of users, and at one point you want to suddenly like update a metric. Maybe you want to add a new metric, or you want to change the definition of one. Now, you want to do this in a safe way without actually impacting the user on your productive system. So I want to show you the ways how we support this within Veezoo. Now you can see here we have in this dashboard here a measure or a widget of a measure called lossy order ratio. I can also just query it this way, and we see here the answer. Now maybe the data team wants to update the definition of that, and rather than directly updating it on the production system, so like if I would go here in Veezoo Studio and just update the definition within here, it would have an immediate impact on all the users, and also no guarantee that you're actually not breaking someone's dashboard. Well, unless you click this button, which will test this, which I'll show you now in a second. So the concept that we have in Veezoo for that is called dev branches, which I think every software engineer or developer is familiar with. So this allows us to create really this independent copy of this knowledge graph for development. Just call it Christmas store development. And what Veezoo now does, it really copies it. And on this new knowledge graph, we can safely make changes, test changes without having any impact on the existing users. So this lossy orders ratio here, maybe we want to change the definition here to smaller than 0, and maybe we also want to change here the name and just call this lossy order ratio. So if I save this, it tells me I've successfully saved it, and I could now ask about this and we'll get the updated result. And now I want to merge this into the master branch so that it's basically deployed to production. So this is what I'm going to do here, push changes to the main knowledge graph. And you can see that here I get now this warning because Veezoo tested all the kind of the widgets and the shared answers that the users have created, and it tells you, hey, you would actually break now this widget here from tailhaug in tailsport because the kb.order.lossy orders ratio concept is missing. And if you remember, actually, I just from a second ago, I renamed it from lossy orders ratio actually to lossy order ratio. So what I can do now, I can say, oh, okay, this is actually lossy order ratio. I click test here. It says, yes, now it runs and this is the answer. That looks good to me. I can click save. Saves the VQL, and I can now push it to the knowledge graph. And now it's successfully deployed on the main knowledge graph. So if I go back here in Veezoo, I refresh, you can still see here that we have two knowledge graphs, the development one and the production one. And if I open here this lossy orders ratio, take a look at its definition, we can see here that it's strictly smaller than 0 and not strictly equal to 0. So I hope you learned something cool today, and see you next time.